This is Josh Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today to be joined by European Cruiserweight Champion, Mr. Jack Massey. Jack, first of all, thank you very much for your time this afternoon even. And how is
No,
everything?
good, mate. Yeah, all good. No problem. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Very good to hear. So we'll dive straight into things. We'll start off by talking about yourself. Last time out back in June, you took on Isaac Chamberlain on short notice and ripped up Boxer's script, I guess you could say, and snatched the European Cruiserweight title away from him. Um, where does that fight rank in terms of the greatest nights in your career? Where does that rank?
I think it's up there. It's definitely up there. It was a big night, big event, and obviously two big titles to come off in European. So getting them under my wing, and that just sets me in great stead for future big fights. It's all up from there. We've been waiting for this sort of springboard for a long time. So now's the time, and we can step on and start getting these big fights made.
And before we do talk about the future, I just want to talk about the fight itself and the build-up. How pleased were you with your performance in the ring that night?
I've watched it back. I wasn't as pleased as I thought. There was just some sloppy moments in the fight. It was a unanimous decision, but it was a bit. Yeah, there was times when I was coming out tall. My defence wasn't great with my hands. Sort of stood up tall at times, and there was shots what I didn't really need to throw. I was looking for too many power shots at times, too many hooks, and it was pretty much the simple basics what beat him. Watching the fight, it was just straight down the middle. I know you were saying before the fight, I'm an ABC fighter, and everything's like sort of come forward and methodical. But that's what beat him. It was the straight shots, and it was sort of dipping off and throwing the right hand and slipping his jab and jabbing at the same time, and just pretty much straightforward stuff. It was a short camp. I was fit, but I could imagine with a longer camp, and the sparring was a bit hit and miss at times. I had a few people pulling out, and it was some of the guys getting out mid spar, and it was a bit iffy at times. But with a proper solid camp, I believe it would have even got him out of there. But it is what it is. I'm happy that I've took the titles home and won the fight. But yeah, there was times in the fight where it wasn't. Need to work on a little bit, and we'll go from there. But I think inactivity showed a little bit as well. Obviously, my last fight was in in January, but that only lasted. I think it was a minute and 50 something seconds. So that didn't really give me that ring. Didn't knock the ring rust off really. But it's all a learning curve, and we'll go again.
Just before we move forward again, you mentioned obviously sparring and having a lot of issues with people. So, like you said, some people getting out mid-spar. With that all going on in camp, did that leave any, I guess you could say, doubts in your mind that maybe you didn't feel you were in the best shape you could possibly be?
A little bit, to be honest. I was very, very confident going into the fight. I knew I'd beat him. I knew what I had to beat him, and yeah, just knew I was going to get the job done. But I didn't do it as well as I thought I would do. There's a couple of rounds where I switched off, and I think that just showed the inactivity and just showed the little bit of ring rust. But I think Will took over there. It was sort of like who wants it more sort of thing. You've got the shot here. It's in your hands, and you've got to take it. And I just come on strong on those back couple of rounds, and I think just had to get him ahead. Joe obviously got him ahead as well in the corner, and yeah, just give us a bit of a kick up the arse.
And then during the fight week, it seemed to be a bit of tension was building between you two. I remember at the weigh-in, he said that you were nervous heading into the fight. Did all that tension between yourself and Isaac, did that give you a bit more fuel in the fire heading into the ring?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't really bother me. It's funny you said that because I thought from when it's the first day I seen him at the public workout, I thought he looked very, very sheepish and very nervous, and he was clowning about, but so you could see in his eyes that he was sort of like clowning about, and then he sort of pulled sort of sit like straight face, and I think it was just you could just tell his emotions were going through his head, a lot. And yeah, I'm probably the most confident I've ever been going into that fight.
Fair enough. And then moving forward now, looking at the next steps in your career, what do you want to move on to next?
We'll see. We'll see what's there. We've called these guys out in the past, and your Chris Billam-Smith. I know it is. You listen. You got to do your talking and stuff nowadays on your social media and on platforms. But I think now I've got something, under a couple of belts there. It's fights are a lot easily made. So that's a fight we're looking at. He's trying for the Opetaia fight and a couple of other fights, seeing where the money is. But we'd love that fight. But we'll see what comes. We'll see what pops up.
Well, so you mentioned Opetaia and Chris Billam-Smith. I do have a little bit to ask about that. Opetaia, they had a show in, I think it was Australia a couple nights ago now, and Opetaia said that he feels Chris Billam-Smith is ducking him. If that
Yeah.
fight does get made, and he says on the biggest stage of what will be Chris Billam-Smith's career, if it happens, who do you favour heading into it and why?
Oh, definitely Jai Opetaia. Yeah, I just don't see a way Billam-Smith's going to beat him. And I think Billam-Smith knows that. I think he's what he's trying to do is try to get as much money as he can. And I think he sort of knows, his team sort of knows in the back of their mind that it's going to be a very, very hard fight for him. He's probably going to come out with a loss. So he's probably going to try and keep hold of that belt for as long as he can and try and get as much money as he can. So yeah, they're going to see what's there. Maybe pick an easier option, but try and get as much money as they possibly can. So they're dipping into different guys, seeing what works out best and seeing where they can get the most money for sort of less danger really.
Would you say it's a bit frustrating when you've got Billam-Smith and his team obviously saying that they want these unification fights now, and then a unification gets offered, and it seems that they are just struggling to get it made?
Yeah, it's fights. It should be being made. It should be being made, and I know obviously they're weighing up their options and seeing where the money is and seeing where the easy opponent is. But it shouldn't take that long. It should be made. You get an offer on the table and you go to the next one. They're probably trying for too much. They're probably thinking these Saudi guys are going to pay fortunes and fortunes, but they've not been given that, have they? Not been offered fortunes, and that's why they're dragging their feet a little bit.
Fair enough. And then would you say Billam-Smith versus Opetaia, would you say that's the fight to determine the number one cruiserweight on the planet?
I don't know. I feel I'm not just saying it because I'm trying to call the fight with Billam-Smith. I do kind of like him as a guy. He's good for boxing. He's a good talker. He doesn't talk crap, and he calls himself a gentleman. He is a bit of a gentleman of the sport, and I kind of like that. I think more people should be like that in boxing. At the end of the day, you're a role model. But I feel like he has overachieved a little bit. But yeah, I don't think. I think Opetaia is, he's looking like the number one with the cruiserweights. He's got the Ring magazine and the IBF, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
And if you were in the ring with either of them, we'll start off with if you were in the ring with Opetaia, how do you reckon you would get on against someone like Jai Opetaia?
I think I've got the experience now. Obviously I've been boxing, coming up for nearly 20 years, 19 years, 18, 19 years. So I think I've got the experience, and he's a good fighter, but everyone's sort of put him up there with the sort of next USEC. But everyone's sort of pulled back a little bit away from that since the second fight with Breeders showed a few little dints there. But can't take it away from him. He's a good fighter, and so is Breedis. I know he's getting on a little bit, but he's very, very experienced and he knows what he's doing around the ring. But yeah, great fight for me. I'd take that in a heartbeat if I get offered that. 1,000,000%. You know, that's what I'm in it for. I'm a fighter, and you get these phone calls, and you've got that's what's bigger out there than that fight. Do you know what I mean?
And if you were to fight Chris Billam-Smith, I know obviously that's the fight you do say you'd like next. If you were to get him next, how does that go?
That goes with me winning all day long, all day long. Yeah, good fight. I think it makes a good fight for what it is. But yeah, definitely me getting hand raised.
Fair enough. And then just lastly, in September, we see the first Riyadh season card in the UK. We see Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois top the bill. Who do you
Yeah,
side heading into that fight?
yeah, I'm going to try and get down to that one. Yeah, tasty fight, exciting fight. You know, Josh was coming back in with confidence. He's very confident at the minute. I think he's got rid of that sort of like gun shyness what he had, after the fights with getting stopped. So, but Dubois, he's dangerous. He doesn't mind taking a shot, and he doesn't mind giving one, and he can punch. So I think it's a tasty fight, and he's a young guy as well. He's got youth on his side. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm more going towards Joshua, but it wouldn't surprise me if Dubois catches him.
Fair enough.
Honestly,
Just
yeah.
before we talk about that fight in a bit more detail, when you look at the whole card from top to bottom, where does that rank in terms of the biggest cards we've seen in the UK?
Two have we got on there? Remind me again.
So you've got obviously Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois top in the bill. Then you've got Liam
Yeah,
Smith versus Josh Kelly, Hamza
yeah,
Firas versus Tyler Denny,
yeah,
Joshua
that's
Buatsi versus Willie
right.
Hutchinson,
Yeah.
Chamberlain versus Josh Padley, Josh Warrington versus Anthony Kakachi, and
Oh, right.
I think that's all of them. I don't think I missed one off there.
That's the Warrington. Yeah, that's the tasty fight. Looking forward to that one as well. Hamza Shiraz, he's looking good. Yeah, so it's a very, very good card. Like, in the past Saudi fights, they're all stacked cards. It's not sort of like, your headlining, and they're not really bothered about the. They're all really, really tasty fights, really good fights. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, Bill. I'll try and get down to that one, definitely.
Fair enough. And then, how big of a chance do you give the underdog in Daniel Dubois?
I give him a chance. I honestly give him a chance. Sometimes Joshua is shown that his chin's not, really sort of like up there with good chins. You know what I mean? So if he catches him, it might be it's heavyweight boxing. It catches him, it might be curtains for him, but he just needs to be confident. AJ, he just needs to be confident, let his hands go like he used to, and not be too cagey. Because a lot of times, if you're cagey and you're throwing a shot and you're pulling away at the same time, that's when you get caught. It's like anything. It's like football. If you're cagey going into a tackle, that's when players come out injured. But that's what it's like in boxing. If you're going in, if you're throwing your shots and you're not 100% putting it into the shots, you're gonna get caught. So that's shown in the past. So I think his confidence with AJ, definitely a confidence thing, and I think he's looking confident in a minute. I think he'll pull it off. But it's one of them things I do give Dubois a chance.
And then, very lastly, how much do you believe Joshua has improved since joining up with Ben Davison?
I think he's improved. I think he's improved. I'd say, like I was just saying, the confidence thing. He's sort of got past. He's got over that milestone of being that cagey fighter after he's been been down a few times. So I think whether he's been seeing a psychologist or whatever, some people do that when they get knocked out or whatever. But yeah, I think it's that confidence thing. What's the main thing for him coming on? Just getting past that.
Fair enough, Jack. Thank you very much for your time today. It's been a pleasure, and
Appreciate
hopefully
it.
you get some big fight news for yourself soon.
Yeah, won't be long, mate. We'll hear something soon, hopefully.
Thank you.